Designers and Builders, where design meets construction. We explore groundbreaking trends and talk to the pros reshaping our spaces. For your dream home, workspace, or just great design inspiration, subscribe to Designers and Builders. Hey, welcome to a new episode of the Designers and Builders podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Steve Larosiliere.
And Alyssa Olson.
And today's guest is Antonio Deloatch from Antonio Deloatch Designs. How you doing, Antonio?
I'm absolutely amazing. It's Friday, and I'm super honored to be here today with you both.
Cool. We're excited to have you on. So tell us the backstory. How'd you get started?
I don't know if we have enough time on this podcast for the entire backstory, but again, just grateful to be a guest here today. I love that we've been following each other and dialed into our businesses, the growth, and this is really what it's all about, right? Is truly building a community. And so for me, it's something that I feel like I've always been striving for. I searched for it in college of trying to really find the destination. So I tell the story quite often, and it's an honest one where I almost dropped out of high school because I was bullied really bad. And I'm super grateful that my guidance counselors and a team of teachers around me kind of really talked me into turning that story around. And it was always kind of like a dream deferred, but perfectly unfolding. And I'm really grateful that we landed where we are today. And I went to go look at colleges for interior design. And, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but CAD was just kind of coming about where we're really auto drawing everything on the computer. And I remember walking through a college dorm at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, and it was just these massive hand-drawn sketches. And I looked at every adult in the room, and I was like, yo, I can't draw. I can't do this. And not a single person looked me in the face and said that I could. And so I went to school for business, ended up getting my degree in project management, bold ask at 23, and ended up running a global merger for Pearson Education. And that passion, that need to kind of get out, to interact with people, to design, to touch, to feel, led me on the career and the journey that I am today, all by saying yes to working part-time at West Elm. And that's now taken me on an over 15-year journey in the world of design.
That's incredible. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Thank you. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, well, I think maybe I really appreciate what you just said about, how life tells you to do one thing and then listening to yourself and then taking that risk, taking that first risk of whether it was West Elm or what was the bug that sort of that created that spark that enabled that for that to happen.
I just think that it was always the interest. It was always the level of wonder or curiosity. And I'll never forget Marjorie. She was sitting next to me in this cubicle and, I'm falling asleep by noon, bored out of my mind, running this global merger. She's tapping me hey, it's time to go to lunch. By 3:00, I'm tapping her because she's nodding off in her cubicle. And I was like, I'm meant to do something so much bigger than this, this thing that's going from project to project and doing these short stints. And so I wanted something that was tactile, something that was game changing. And I couldn't really put the language to that at that time, but I just knew that I wanted to be in the world of home and interiors and have direct connection with people. And then that just started this kind of love affair with what I do. And it's the whispers from God that I get up every single day to change the way that people live. And that came shortly after kind of coming into the world of design. And it really has carried me through for the last 12 years. And then after moving back from LA 3 years ago, that verbiage kind of and that whisper got a little louder and then it changed. And it's just this evolution. But I've always known that I was meant to be in this world. And that's why I kind of joke and say it's a dream deferred, but it's perfectly unfolded in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Can you talk about how you went about getting your first project?
So I'm a hustler at the end of the day. That's what I do.
Wait, Antonio, 1 second,
Yeah.
1 second before. Do you mind moving your mic closer to your mouth somehow?
I can do that. Is that a little better?
Perfect. Yeah, a little bit better. Yeah, for sure.
So your question, Alyssa, was my first client.
Okay.
And so in some of like my coaching and mentoring young and up and coming designers, the thing that I've always said is like, does your side hustle align to what your big vision is? Like, what is the big vision? What is your big dream? And does your side hustle align to that? And so my answer to that for me was yes. I ended up at West Elm and then at Our House Furniture running a multi-million-dollar flagship. And that's when I realized when people were like, oh my gosh, Antonio, like my husband's actually enjoying this process. Like, do you do this on the side? And I was like, oh my gosh. I was just like, I guess so. And then I would have to put a dollar amount to like what that side hustle was. And that's kind of really how I started my own business, was by taking the clients off the sales floor from that brick and mortar and being able to skillfully use their tools and toolbox and all of the things to then land my first client.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, it's like, why not, right? Like, I mean, they already have the fabric library, they've got the infrastructure, they've got a direct funnel of clients that were just coming in every weekend. So then I just kind of had a different relationship to it. Then I would play a game. If you spent $12,000 with me, then I would tell you that I did this on the side. You know, maybe if I saw that they were struggling and, you know, I knew I had another solution, but it wasn't necessarily on my sales floor. So then I wouldn't push the sale. So then maybe I might just like sell them the coffee table and been like, yo, I'm off on Thursday. I do this. This is my hourly rate. Let's go down the street. And then they were like, oh, cool. And then it just kind of evolved from there.
You're a hustler, dude. That was that. I mean, what it was like, because I could imagine a young Antonio like walking in, like somebody walks into a furniture place and they are looking for one thing, and that one, because like when you solve one problem, it creates a whole slew of other problems. And here you are, like young, charismatic, creative, energetic about solving their problem. They're like, take my money, please.
Literally throwing it at me, literally throwing it. And they were just, and that was the thing I loved about my career, is that like, I kind of always say, like, I feel like I had this weird duality and this like target on my back because I was always half sales, half management, right? So it's like I had to be your boss, but I had to like write you up for being late, but I also had to be your closer and maybe help you also run your business, but then maybe tell you to clean the toilets on a Sunday morning, right? So it was always this weird duality in my world. But for me, it was like, if we can just teach my sales team the why behind the sale, right? Like solving that problem. If it's just pillows, pillows could turn into the whole entire house because you've shown that you've listened, that like you didn't push for more. You just gave them maybe something that they didn't even know they needed, or maybe the thing they could afford, but you painted a vision. And then in return, now we're building a stronger, deeper business with repeat clientele. And then we're making more money. And now we're proving a concept, but we're building something bigger off of just like honestly solving the problem. I can see both your gears are like rolling. You're like, wait, I've got like 50 more questions.
What are you thinking, Alyssa? I want to know what you're thinking. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking, well, first of all, I'm just so impressed with your journey and your trajectory and how you've listened to yourself and transformed that into listening to clients, transforming their spaces. I also noticed you work all over, which is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah. And you also had mentioned the Lux Magazine recently. I'm just kind of curious about some of your recent, wow. Yeah. Can you talk about just your recent exciting journey?
Yeah, so Lux Magazine, I mean, getting to print an editorial has still blown my mind. You know, living in LA for over 9 years and kind of becoming like the local pass around designer in a luxury space. I had a lot of celebrity clients in LA. And so, you know, you're on NDAs and like my mom's like worried. She's like, you haven't posted on Instagram. And I'm like, girl, like legally I can't, you know? And so since we've moved back to New York, it's like opened up these doors for me. And we finished this project on Central Park West. And the minute I walked into this jewel box, I was like, this just needs to like, this is going to be spectacular. Like the world needs to see this. It's going to be like my announcement that I've arrived in New York. And then I kind of embarked on that journey. We made it amazing for the client. And my friends at Lux Magazine were, you know, I mean, you can just imagine how many bodies of work they received to be pitched. And they said yes to me. And then they bumped me up to the May issue and said, we want to call you one to watch. And so that felt kind of amazing.
Yeah. Well, all eyes on you. We are watching.
all lies. So it feels really, really good. It's great to tell the story. It's great to tell the journey and then really kind of show this before and after. And there's like so many little micro stories in this little jewel box that are just meant to be told.
I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I was like, I don't know. As soon as you started talking and you started telling me like the journey, I was like, oh, Alyssa, this is why we started this podcast, because there's like this story of just like grit and non-traditional paths that like has marked my life and even how I'm operating in this space today. And it's the the ability to operate in spaces that are non-traditional to people that potentially grew up the way we did.
Correct.
Right. And to not only just operate, but to thrive and to be a person of value and successful and to be honored. Like that to me is like, man, I love that, because at the end of the day, you have a body of work that's impacting people's lives. And Alyssa and I have this belief that everybody deserves something custom. Like everybody deserves like a beautiful space, and like that's kind of like our low key mission is to help democratize that. And like,
Love that.
and so to be able to just like bring that out and tell more stories about people doing that's I mean, it was really validating to hear all that. So tell us about like when did you move back to New York?
3 years ago.
And then I'm curious because I've expanded businesses myself in new markets. Like, can you walk us through like how did you start to how did you build yourself in a new environment?
Yeah, so how did I rebuild myself into this new environment was definitely not pretty. We moved back just at the tail end of the pandemic and we moved back to Harlem. We're uptown in a predominantly, Black neighborhood, and that feels amazing. And crazy enough, like my studio that I'm sitting in today, again, all orchestrated by God, that I found my office on Craigslist. And so, like, I FaceTimed the agent, wired the money, and literally I got the keys the day that me and my moving truck showed up. And I remember sitting in this studio space, being able to, like, pinch myself, A, that this is real. B, we're in New York City. And then I sat here and it was like the depression kind of sunk in. My phone stopped ringing. The quietness was super loud. And I was like, oh my God, like, what did I just do? Like, I have finally just like made it in LA. Like I just carved out like a 6-figure plus business and like I figured that out. And I was like, how the heck do I do this here in New York City? And so I got really still and I kind of just like prayed on it and got focused. And I was like, okay, what do we know how to do? I can go get a great haircut. I can put on an outfit. I have my story. I have my journey and I have my portfolio. So I was like, cool, like get off the couch, dust it off, and like, let's find our people. I can't go door knocking. A, that's not safe, but like, B, like, post pandemic, New York City, I live in Harlem. I'm like, I can't just knock on the door and be like, yo, hey, my name's Antonio. I moved back from LA. Do you have $250,000 that I could just renovate your brownstone? I'm like, that sounds ludicrous. Like, that's just not happening. So I found my people and I went and I got on the registry of like the New York design centers and creeping on Lux Magazine and others on IG. And I was like, okay, cool. People are starting to come back out. Like, let's just put myself in the room. And that's something that I always tell to like my mentees as I'm mentoring individuals is like, get off the wall and literally put yourself into the middle of the room. Be vulnerable. Tell your story. Figure out how to just like dig deep on that afternoon and celebrate yourself. And sometimes it's really hard and it's intimidating and it takes practice. And it was just kind of this muscle. And here we are 3 years later. And there are still moments where I'm sitting at a very exclusive table in a VIP section in New York. And I'm like, this is incredible that, really 2.5 years boots on the ground that we've been able to tap into this amazing market. But I really think that some of the genuine success has been the authenticity of wanting connection, the authenticity of wanting to create a community and knowing that I'm just not the new guy on the block that has no experience, but that I bring something to the table and that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, really appreciate that, how you leaned on community and that was your driver to become a part of that space.
Yeah.
And then that's how you help that space. It's this full circle that you've generated on your end.
Yeah. It's been kind of amazing. Like last night, so we're here in the middle of New York Design Week. And I mean, it's like action packed. There's parties every night, there's panel discussions and all of the things. And this year, for some reason, the energy for me has kind of pulled me very European in the things that I've experienced. But at the tail end of last night, we were celebrating excellence in design, a predominantly all African American panel, and some of my best friends in this industry. And there was something that just ignited my soul and the spirit and the joy of being able to tell Black stories and creating space into the world of design. So it was just amazing that like I was sitting there having one of these pinch me moments last night where I've had this amazing day and I'm sitting there talking to like Tom Faulkner from London and having coffee and just these wild moments to end up the evening with like a room full of excellent African American, biracial, mixed, young, queer, all of the things in room and board. And I was like, this is why we do what we do. Like, this is where the magic is.
Yeah.
Well, can you tell us what's the thing that is exciting you about the business or the space or the industry right now?
Well, we all know that like there's a few things that are exciting me in the industry in the space. And I know we're trying to not use the T word and understand what tariffs are and what the government is doing, right? Like that's all real. And as designers, we've been on this roller coaster. We've dealt with like a logistics shortage, people holding stuff at the shipment court ports in California during the pandemic. We've gone through a foam shortage, right? So it's like choosing to focus on the positive things. I just came back from High Point Market, and I just think that there's this level of intentionality in the industry that we're taking sustainability to a whole nother level. And like it's evolved from sustainability to biophilic design. From biophilic design, we're now talking about neuroscience. Exactly your why of like why you guys do this podcast of being able to create something custom for someone. I think in the industry right now, it's exciting to see that people are really operating with this level of intentionality and that we're wanting to be able to source better. We're maybe going more local. We're trying to curate something that is like blows our clients' minds, right? That's like going to give them that sense of space, safety. I just think that there's something really beautiful blooming in the industry. And I just think it's exciting because it really can show through the product, the textiles, like the panel I was attending yesterday with these 4 textile designers from London, like they're manufacturing down the street from their home, right? Like the hemp is literally coming from the field to the factory. That makes your job 10 times harder, but so much more rewarding. And I think that's the thing that's like firing me up at the moment because I want to keep searching for those things. I want to keep finding those moments and those gems and those stories to then share with our clients.
Yeah. So on that front, as a landscape architect, furniture designer who very similarly has those same values of sustainability, local economy, working with your community, have you found that there's any friction between your values and client values?
All day long. It's like, yeah, it's a sliding scale, and it's like dating, right? It's like, are we doing this thing for the long term? Like, where on the green scale are we? Like, you've got to like really get through.
Or is this a summer fling? Or is this a summer fling?
But this is a summer fling, right? Are we just doing this for the moment? I really want to be
We're doing this for the vibes and the check.
vibes and checks all day long. Please and thank you.
A blog.
Just vibes and checks. Yeah, no, I really feel like they come to me for a reason, right? Same thing why they come to you for a reason, Alyssa. And it's just like we have to figure out faster how we get to the reason why they're attracted to us. And then they could have just the most very basic, simple answer. But then now we've got to get to the meat and the potatoes of it. And the same thing on sustainability. We all fall on that green scale somewhere along it. I just then have to figure out where you are. And then now it's my job to make you greener, right? And then educate you along the way.
Did you study psychology?
I have not, but that's the street smarts in me. I told you.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rockland County, just like a small town about 40 minutes north of Manhattan.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Rockland. That's cool. And where did you go to college?
I started at Berkeley and then St. Thomas Aquinas and ended up at Strayer in Virginia. Again, a total journey. And we just embraced all of it. And it's led me to, from New York to LA to Hong Kong. I mean, it's just as like taking me around the world.
The It's interesting. So like I started my like career in New York and then I started working in LA and I thought LA was really hard because of the driving and the distance and like you need to fall into the right pockets of people because it's so spread out that I could imagine as hard as it was to be in New York, it must have felt easier to roll back in because you did it in LA. So here must have been like, my God, more opportunity, more money. I don't have to drive as much, right? Like,
Yeah.
did you start to feel like that?
I did, and it was interesting because I got so comfortable. Like, I love driving, I don't mind it, but it kind of became also like my office on wheels. Like, it became my identity. Like, I could do 200 miles a day in the car in LA and like really be super strategic about like how I was running my business. And so I had to kind of undo some of that. And then I was trying to drive in New York, and then that just got stressful. And then I was like, oh, I really have to get on the subway. I really don't want to do this, but I've done it, and now I've embraced it, and we're making it work. And there's a bunch of like schlepping, and I'm at an age too now where I'm like, if I have to take a taxi, I'm billing the client to take the taxi. Like, I am just going to schlep all of these samples in a taxi, and I'm not getting on the subway with like 5,000 people. So when they're asked like, what's this travel expense, I'm like, that's all of your samples. That's how we got here. It's right here. Like, this is how we're doing this. And they're like, okay, cool. So it's just about being just honest and clear, and and really being malleable to like being able to be moldable, malleable, flexible, all of the things to what New York City will force you to become. Yeah. And trying to find cute shoes and run around New York is really hard. It's tricky.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I also noticed, so obviously you focus on interiors, but it looks like you also dabble a little bit in exterior work.
I do.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it's kind of evolved thanks to the pandemic. Our interior clients took us outside. And then that's actually one client that we're doing right now in Milwaukee, started because I did their neighbor's front yard and entire exterior landscaping. And then their crunchy yard that looked like they lived on Mars, they were like knocked over on Leo's door and was like, hey, we kind of really want to repay the favor. And then they found me. So I do exterior work. We're predominantly 80% on the residential side, inside, outside, design build work. We've also got a really special, unique package where we'll do an online kind of like virtual package where you'll get me, and then I kind of create the roadmap. So let's just say you're fresh out of college and you're like, cool, I might only have like $5,000. You make a $1,500 to $1,800 investment on a designer. We give you a fully shoppable mood board, and then we empower you to go ahead as your budget allows. So again, to your mission and your why, like I feel like everybody deserves a beautiful home. And so I've always struggled with putting the word luxury into the space too in all of my marketing material because I don't want to push somebody away. But it's been really amazing that just by going outside and doing some exterior landscape work has opened up the doors to commercial work, to doing a synagogue on the exterior refresh of a synagogue on La Cienega, to then doing doctor's offices. So it's crazy how just by being vulnerable enough to say, yes, I can redo your driveway and your exterior facade of your home has really opened up more doors into the world of design.
Yeah. And I like how on your website you call it affordable luxury.
Yeah.
I think the most important detail of that, right? It's creating that access for anybody,
Yeah.
but also delivering on the luxury side of things.
Yeah, it's always been like a line to tiptoe, right? Like you can use the word affordable, but it's not cheap, right? Because we're still a luxury. And so I'm glad that that like jumped out to you because I just think it's so important to make people feel like it's low-hanging fruit, right? That like, sure, I don't need to go to IKEA, but if IKEA is all I have, let me find the award-winning designer that's willing to tell me how to like make it dope. And so then hopefully when you get your next promotion and you end up making it, then you call me for the forever house, or when you've got kids and then you call me back. And that's the journey, right? Like all three of us have started out from somewhere and now can feel like we're getting closer to making it in some sense. And that's the same thing with your home. It should start somewhere.
Yeah, something that also stood out to me was in one of your client testimonials, they said, a quote from you, it said, home is not a place, it's a feeling. And I'm just curious where that came from and how that's driven your design process and philosophy.
Yeah, so Thank you for calling that out because I don't know if I go back and I read my testimonials as often as maybe I should. But home is a feeling, and I grew up in a beautiful household. And I really realized so last year I was one of the finalists for Queer Eye on Netflix. And that was just like, again, another amazing moment. But in that interview process, I talked about living in an intergenerational household. And like my grandmother, may she rest in peace, is like my best friend and loved design and walked around with this like little baggie of like Formica chips and fabric and just like we had to get the perfect almond color to of the toaster oven to match the countertop and the refrigerator. And so, but home was always this feeling. It was always this thing that I could come back to. It was always also this thing that was always evolving and like as I grew up and I moved away from home at a young age, I went on my own discovery journey of like, what does home really mean for me? And I think that's some of the work that we try to get our clients, like to go back to Steve's question, like, did I study psychology? No, but I probably should have, because it really is like we're pulling at each other in this beautiful song and dance. It's like, what do you want to feel? And the clients are like, I don't know. I want a sofa. And I'm like, yes. But like, how do you want to feel on that sofa? And they're like, Antonio, like, I just want to like take my shoes off and relax. Like, I want these kids to leave me alone and I just want like the world to disappear. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Like, that's a starting point, right? I'm like, do you want your head to be supported? Like, how do you want to feel? Like, do you want your home to greet you? Do you want to get out of the chaos, right? So, like, in my brand evolving, we've kind of now taken on this like really beautiful mindfulness practice, working on getting my mindfulness certification and doing more coaching and mentoring. I'm a yogi as well. Like I practice yoga a few days a week. And so like we're trying to challenge our clients just in that small sentence that you mentioned is like home is it's the feeling.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
Thank you.
What's it like to work with clients all over the country? Like taste, budget, lifestyle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what does it feel like to, or how does it look like or feel to work with clients across the country? I think the beautiful thing is like you get to meet people where they are, right? Everyone's always favorite question is like, I think there's two. Like, what is your favorite trend today? Love that question. That's phenomenal. And then what is your style? And I'm like, it's really not about me. It's about you. So whether or not we're designing for 67-year-olds in Wisconsin, going into retirement and this doing their forever home to the bachelor in the penthouse in downtown LA that's got a totally different lifestyle to the synagogue to the builder developer in DC, right? There's a magical journey that happens in each and every one of those individual stories. And for me, the excitement comes from like educating and then meeting the client where they are. And they're all going to have a different kind of budget. They're all going to have some different relationship to this industry that we're in. And, HGTV and all the things have kind of skewed what that really looks like. Like, this is not Amazon. I just can't get it overnight. I can work wonders, but we have to start to educate our clients. So the demographic and where they are, I mean, is cool. It brings a little spice and flavor to what it is. I get to explore a new place. Like I didn't know where Milwaukee was and literally had to Google it on the map as I was like booking my flight 2 months ago. And I was like, y'all moved to where? Like, where is that? Like Michigan? Is it not? Like, I totally was like, I need to brush up on my geography, but yeah, that's the fun of it. I get to keep it spicy a little bit and explore. Like now I'm in DC once a week working on 2 or 3 projects down there. So like, I don't know. It just kind of is amazing.
It is amazing.
I hope that answered your question. But I mean, yeah, it's like,
Oh, it did.
it's like you're exploring a foreign thing all the time and navigating budget expectations. You're educating people. You're like pushing people. You're getting to create this thing that hopefully will be in service to them.
What's your number one way to get clients right now?
It's really is word of mouth. It's kind of has always been my pipeline and funnel. We just started tapping into more of, I'm part of this phenomenal executive networking group that started by higher end mutual fund and like real estate agents, but then they're plugging us into like when we're sitting at the table, everybody's got a different career path. So really trying to, I call it the unicorn effect, where I am the only interior designer in the room. So for Black History Month, I was super honored with JP Morgan Chase to co-sponsor Borough for Borough, is another amazing podcast that we'll be on in June, of 4 African American real estate agents that represent each borough of New York City. And so this was the launch of season 2 of their podcast this past February. And when they asked me to sponsor the event or co-sponsor it, that was like a hell yes for me, because then I got to be the unicorn in the room. And I also got to support friends and like people that I love that are killing and crushing the game. But it's able to be like, I'm hoping that this unicorn effect really activates the next pipeline of like potential clientele for me.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's so inspiring. I love also your terminology, like unicorn effect, green scale, like built into your product.
I just need t-shirts, right? Like, let's just like get a whole t-shirt line and like, we're just gonna like gauge you on the green scale. We're gonna call you a unicorn. We're going to embrace it all. And I think that's the thing that just like creates like this lightness, this fun. It's like, yeah, we're running a business, and like I could choose to completely spiral and like lose it twice a week, or I could really activate my mindfulness practice and take a deep breath, do a little dance in my office, and tell myself that I'm amazing. And then we keep it moving.
What kind of music do you listen to?
It's all over the place. It really depends on my mood. Sometimes it's like complete house music. Sometimes it's like moody jazz while I'm cooking. Sometimes it could probably be just like total hip hop on the treadmill. I mean, it really just depends on my mood.
That's cool. What else you got, Alyssa?
I just want to call out your designer home tour of your project in Brooklyn.
Yes.
I really appreciate about that you mentioned in the space was this element of discovery and storytelling. And can you just talk a little bit more about how just the ways in which you like to incorporate storytelling and how that tends to come out in your projects?
Yes. So I met a designer yesterday, who I met 2 years ago. And she was just like, you're the designer that did the house in the Hamptons. And you had the African American portrait of Horace Pippin, which is actually behind me here. And she was like, I knew that you were a Black designer because you incorporated Black art. And now here we are in the Hamptons in the middle of the summer. And I was like, she got it. And that's amazing. And to go back to the Brooklyn story, that was the first show house that I had ever done. I had just moved back from LA. It was part of the thing that was like on my wish list. And I was like, one place we want to talk about a funnel of business. It's expensive to participate in a show house, but it's all about your relationship to the show house. And so I prayed on one that could be in my backyard, that could be a direct funnel for potential clientele, and then also exposure into the industry. I got called, I was in LA. Most times you get about 6 to 8 weeks, maybe a little bit more, to design this space for the show house. I had less than 3.5 to 4. I was the last designer to be brought on board. And they were like, we have this tiny little bathroom on the 5th floor off the solarium. You're our guy. We want diversity. And I was like, bet, cool, I'll do it. And then it turned out to be a no demo reno. I got lucky with the floors being level. And I stood in this space and I was like, who is this potential client? Because now it's a show house, so there's no real client. I got to imagine that. So then I got to tell the story. And then I was like, I wanted to feel like Brooklyn. I wanted to feel like Ralph Lauren. I wanted to have this energy. And then I went on this journey. And then I found Taylor Gartner, young, white, female, amazing artist. And she told the Black Lives Matter story from her lens through her art. So then I found her, not knowing her race. It didn't matter. I fell in love with her art. So then I was like, okay, great. We're going to showcase your art. And she was like, you really want to showcase my artwork? And I was like, 100%. We're going there. We're telling the story. And that was the same time that the whole issue in Ukraine was happening. So then there was this beautiful storytelling with the gardener and the landscape designer painted the flower boxes on the front of this Brooklyn townhouse in Brooklyn Heights, one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in all of Brooklyn, like the colors of the Ukrainian flag. And then he put these beautiful, oh, you're going to make me tear up today. He put these beautiful like red poppy flowers to symbolize the blood and the bloodshed. So now like immediately you had this story at the front door, which gave me the permission and the validation to do that on the 5th floor. So now as you're journeying through this house with amazing designers, I had an opportunity to tell this really unique story. And so Taylor Gartner's pieces started, and then I reached out to Saku Luke, who's a African-American photographer here in Harlem who photographs like, I mean, amazing. His work is just, his portraiture is crazy. So then the barbershop is a safe space for us as men. So then I incorporated his black and white photography of the barbershop. And then I painted these like brown ceramic hands that were holding you essentially. And next thing you know, we're sitting there with like rubber duckies in the bathtub and champagne on the opening night. And we get to celebrate all of this. And it was just this tiny little like 8x8, 6x8 foot bathroom that just kept evolving.
It's incredible. You're a great storyteller.
Thank you. I mean, because it's like, it's coming from my heart. Like, and I love the fact that, you know, Alyssa's like watched my work, looking at the work, and is like picking up on the details that like I lose sleep over. It's the stuff that I want people to catch. Like, I want people to feel what Alyssa's feeling when she watches that home tour. So to me, it's these big but small moments that let me know that like I'm on the right path. And I hope that anyone that's listening to this podcast today is feeling some sort of like inspiration or inspired in the fact that like, A, your voice matters, B, create the vision, tell the story, and get really locked into what that story is. It's like an elevator pitch. You get like 10 seconds in an elevator with a stranger, make it super compelling. I said it before, get off the wall and get into the middle of the room and tell your story.
Are you using AI in any of your work?
I am. I mean, like ChatGPT helps. I mean, just from writing copy, writing emails, just the image producing. Like the other day I was working with a developer and she's like, I can't visualize it. And I asked ChatGPT to produce a small wet bar with like white oak cabinets, quartz countertops, up the backsplash, gold faucets, and ta-da, it did it. So like I didn't have to call my team. I didn't have to I did it all right here from my phone. And I was like, great, send, move on to the next thing. Yeah, so AI technology is really great. I think that it's a phenomenal tool and we just have to learn how to lean in and embrace it and continue to keep sharing stories on like our relationship with it. I've got a girlfriend of mine. She's got a great Facebook platform, Jenna Jusek, who I'll share with you if you want to include in the notes. She's got a whole school on AI technology for designers. She's got like a summer camp program. Like she's teaching designers how to use AI tools, which I think is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. We definitely need more of that, like how to utilize this and expand our creative potential.
Yeah. How are you guys using AI?
That's funny when the interviewee asks. I mean, literally for everything. Like for instance, I have a friend. You know when you use right before you say a thing, you can't believe you're about to say a thing. I have a friend that's selling a $500,000 boat, and so he needs some help selling it.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is we're analyzing who's the ideal. We're using AI to say who's the ideal person in Miami that could buy this boat right now, and then reverse engineering and coming up with a list of people, and then we're creating a marketing campaign to target those people.
Super cool.
That's an example. I mean, I also have a design build firm. So like when a lead comes in and they tell me what they want, I can do some research on them and take their words and then produce a mock-up. I was like this or like this. And then they tell me. And then we've created some tools that allow for very quick quoting. So then I can turn those quotes around really, really fast.
That's amazing.
You know? Yeah. Cool. All right. So last question is 6 to 12 months. Where do you want your business to be? Can we brainstorm a little bit about how to get there for you?
Sure. So 6 to 12 months, where do I want the business to be? And then you guys are going to give me all the tools in my tool belt to tell me how to get there.
We'll just brainstorm real quick. Yeah, for sure.
6 to 12 months from now, I mean, listen, we're already halfway through the year and it feels really great when you can look at May and been like, I've already kind of blown my mind, which feels really dope. I think one of my big goals, we're really leaning into this whole mindfulness practice. One of the things that's on my heart to achieve is to kind of do this mindfulness retreat. And so I've been doing some research on curating a retreat that's around mindfulness, yoga, business, entrepreneurial practices, and being able to kind of hit the pause and reset button. Deepening my relationship with real estate agents and developers, I think could be a really great lead generating moment. And to see, you know, again, a female developer in DC creating a $5 million house in a neighborhood that's never seen that before is really dope. And it's just like totally aligns to my brand and my business. And And yeah, I mean, more unicorn effects. Just kind of how do we be the special one in the room and with a really compelling story? And I would love to be able to take the business that we've done so far and double it this by the end of this year. After really seeing that we've moved back from LA 3 years ago, knowing that we've taken a huge dip, and that now I can see the curve turning itself back around and that we're on the uptick. So I would love to just be able to take what we have right now and double it in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I got some ideas for you.
Yes.
One is this mindfulness and design could be a space that you completely own, right? Like being able to look at design and make that and you are the cultural translator of mindfulness in space and continuously put that out. And so like that story that you said about the Brooklyn with the artist and the story of the Ukrainian, like that was because what you did was like you laid the groundwork and you set the tone for how the space is going to be lived.
Yeah.
And that is something that a lot of people don't necessarily, it's the language that people know in their head, but they can't ever articulate it. And if you could be that cultural translator of mindfulness and space, like, all right, and maybe how that manifests for yourself is in your content and in your reels and in your blog posts and leveraging AI to say, okay, here's a space. How it shows up in your content is you can actually, because I'm sure you do this naturally, right? Is you look at things and you're like, how can I put that through my lens? You can look at a before, and I know that you probably do this intuitively, but start creating a framework around your mindfulness and how it integrates with your work, and then label it, and then put it through like a framework, and then just repeat it over. And then that's how you start to build mind share in people that follow you. And they're like, I want that voice. Because if people are being naturally drawn to you because of your charisma, your energy, your amazing work, imagine if you added that layer, they're gonna be like, oh my God, now your value is gonna go even higher because now you're adding, like you've separated yourself from everybody else. That's one thing. And the second thing is I would start hosting monthly workshops that you just do for free. And this is your public service that it allows you to get the reps in for sharing what you're learning, because I'm sure there's books, there's videos, there's like articles that you're reading that's informing your frame of mind and how it sees the world. And if you can start democratizing and just like giving it away, just saying, this is how I view the lens of design in the world. And then like, then you start building, then next thing you know, and then I would also add a newsletter component so that everybody, and it becomes your weekly practice. This is what I'm learning. This is how I'm sharing. This is how I'm showing up. And then like, yeah, I think that could be the big differentiator for you.
I'm here. I'm literally taking notes, and you left us on a cliffhanger, and you just jumped right back into it with like no apologies. You were just like, "Listen, I'm gonna drop the gems and the mic," and I just think this is amazing. And I mean,
I'll share. So this is another person. Do you know Sheen
I
Charles?
do not know Shane.
I'll share with you her Instagram account. I'm like a little obsessed with her style right now, and I see you being on a similar end on a mindfulness stuff. Like when she speaks about like design from a Black diaspora person, and I have to always I was like, she's probably Haitian, she's probably West African, because there's like a richness and soul to her. And I feel like you have that, but the amazing thing is that the tools are there for us to do it.
Yeah.
Like the tools are, and so like you just, and it's gonna be messy.
Yeah.
It's like your first project to be able to get your voice and to start to articulate your aesthetic visually. Oh my God. Once you get there, and I would probably give yourself like 3 months. Like it's gonna be fucking messy. Whenever I have an idea, this is my framework to do it, and I'm just gonna fucking do it. I don't care what the fuck it looks like. I'm sorry for cursing, but like
It's okay. I love you even more now because it's so real, and it's like this is the messaging that like you need to share with people, right? It's like I just self-published my own coffee table book.
Yeah.
All because I
As-
said, like, in a meeting with a real estate agent, he was like, what can you do to diversify yourself that you can give me that's different? And I was like, oh, I have a coffee table book. And I literally walked away and I was like, yo, dude, now you got to produce a coffee table. I was like, great. So I came up with my own magazine style. I self-published it. And now it's a
Exactly.
dope tool, right? And the first one, I was rushing so much because I was excited. And thank God I only ordered 10 copies. But there was typos and I made some edits and I was wrong. But then, like, I vulnerably shared it with the person sitting next to me who's friends with Bill Gates' daughter in a coffee shop. And then she was like gushing and she was like, can I have it? And she's like, can you sign it? And I'm like, of course I get like, you want me to sign it? Like, you don't even know who I am. But it was messy. And then, like, now 50 copies arrived on my doorstep last night that are edited and proofed and they look amazing. And it's all because, like, getting comfortable or getting uncomfortable in the mess, right? It's just like, let's just like, that's why I think I love your messaging. I love the idea of giving it away for free. I need the newsletter is like the pain point and the thorn in my side. And it's like, we just have to do it. And it's like, it's the knowledge sharing, it's the vulnerability, it's being a thought leader in the industry. It's like showing our vendors that, like, there's another way to go about just like talking about the product and product placement and like the sale of all of it. I just think this is so amazing.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we'll follow up I see you. I mean, this is where I really wanted to say, Alyssa, earlier. I see you instantly as a collaborator, like for real. Like we can collaborate on projects together, and
Yeah,
I think there's a space for all of us to eat and do great, cool shit together.
I agree.
You know, awesome. Tell everybody your website and your Instagram.
Sure. So again, I'm Antonio Deloatch. We run Antonio Deloatch Designs. We're based here in New York City, a little presence in DC, LA. I still love you. We're there quite often. You can find me on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, all the good stuff at Antonio Deloatch Designs. Follow me, shoot me out a DM. We're always here to build community. I answer all of my DMs myself. And again, it's antoniodeloatch.com if you're going to check us out.
Thank you so much, Antonio, for your time. So excited to get your story out.
Yeah, y'all are amazing. I'm super grateful to be a guest on your podcast today. I hope that we were able to drop some gems and inspire those to listen today. This is why we do what we do, and, you know, be the unicorn in the room and spread your magic.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.